Okay, we're continuing with quotes from Holy Grail of Wisdom quotes by me, Pete Rogers, alphabetical order. First is Yakov Smirnoff, the Russian comedian. He says, if it were not necessary to eat or to wear clothes, Russia would be the greatest country in the world. In America, you can always find a party. In Soviet Russia, the party can always find you. And he also complained that once the so-called Soviet Union collapsed, that then people didn't think he was this funny. But there's a lot of people who think that the so-called collapse of the Soviet Union was mostly fake. It was a way to put America to sleep so that America could be conquered and put under Soviet control. And there's reasons to believe that that's true. Mikhail Gorbachev came over here and, sort of campaigning for his way of life. And there's people like Jordan Peterson who named his daughter after Mikhail Gorbachev. I don't think that's an accident, okay? And if you think it's an accident, then you're probably too stupid to watch my channel. Okay, the next person is Adam Smith. He lived from 1723 to 1790. He was part of the Scotland, so-called Scottish Enlightenment from Edinburgh. He was also a philosopher, and some people call him the father of capitalism, but capitalism had been invented many hundreds of years earlier by the Catholic Church with all its trade between countries and continents. So Adam Smith says, every man lives by exchanging. He is led by an invisible hand to promote an end which was no part of his intention. So capitalism rewards you for productivity, for doing good work, doing good things. And that's the invisible hand that capitalism is what yields prosperity. It's the only thing that works. Just so you know, some of you viewers are young and uneducated. I can tell you capitalism is the only thing that makes a country wealthy and profitable in the long range. Without having slaves or brutalizing somebody and ripping them off, okay? Capitalism is the only thing that works. So the three things that make you rich and prosperous and have a nice country: capitalism, a constitution like the USA had, and Christianity. That's basically it, okay? And you could debate that, but you're wrong if you think otherwise. And if you study it, you'll see that that's the truth. Okay, the first thing you have to know is to know yourself. A man who knows himself can step outside himself and watch his own reactions like an observer. The real price of everything is the toil and trouble of acquiring it. Individual ambition serves the common good. That's the invisible hand of capitalism, that by trying to make things better for one's own business, you make it better for the whole country. And you just think about it. Imagine somebody runs a restaurant. If you run a restaurant in a capitalism system, if you do a good job, you make more profits, you make more money, you can open up another restaurant. And you'll have two good restaurants. On the other hand, like in communism, let's say you're given a budget of $100,000 for the month. Well, the less service you provide, the worse your service, the more of that money you get to keep. So the incentive is to do bad, whereas in capitalism, the incentive is to do good. That's why capitalism works. The invisible hand of capitalism is to reward good, hardworking, competent effort. Okay, Adam Smith continues. The man whose whole life is spent in performing a few simple operations of which the effects are always the same has no occasion to exert his understanding or to exercise his invention in finding out how expedients for removing difficulties which never occur. He naturally becomes as stupid and ignorant as it is possible for a human creature to become. Yeah, so he says working on an assembly line makes you stupid. Okay, the next one is Florence Margaret Smith. So she was a poet. She just has a few lines here. She says, the English woman is so refined, she has no bosom and no behind. I long for the person from Porlock to bring my thoughts to an end. I am growing impatient to see him. I think of him as a friend. So the person from Porlock is, when Samuel Taylor Coleridge was writing, Xanadu to Kubla Khan, and then there was a knock on the door, and it was the person from Porlock, like wanting to sell him insurance or something, and it distracted him, and then he couldn't remember the rest of the poem. That's the story. Logan Pearsall Smith, the writer, he's got a few decent quotes. He says, style is a magic wand and turns to gold whatever it touches. Yeah, good author voice can make things entertaining. And a good author voice is just talking like you talk to an intelligent friend. If you want to be a better writer, watch comedians. Watch Rodney Dangerfield. Watch Sam Kinison. Watch Eddie Murphy. Injecting a little personality into the work makes it more fun for everybody. Okay, the next one is, if it is to be, it is up to me. I like that one because good luck getting somebody to help you. You have to learn how to help yourself. The test of enjoyment is the remembrance it leaves behind. Youth is the time for adventures of the body, but age for the triumphs of the mind. Yeah, that's why it's good to have some type of intellectual hobby, because you're just not going to be as good at a physical thing as you get older, but you can keep on becoming more articulate as you get older into your 70s, a better writer as you get into your 70s. If you play a musical instrument, you can enjoy that and get better as you get older. The indefatigable pursuit of unattained perfection is what gives meaning to life. Yeah, you want to pursue some goal bigger and beyond yourself. Gives you a purpose in life, makes you happy, more resilient. Logan Pearsall Smith, if you want to be thought a liar, then always tell the truth. Yeah, nothing gets you accused faster of being a liar on YouTube than telling the truth about something that goes against what profit wants. What I like in a good author is not what he says, but what he whispers. Okay. People say life's the thing, but I prefer reading. If you are losing your leisure, watch out. You might be losing your soul. And there's truth in that too. It's sort of like, if all I did was conventional medicine to make money, I'd go crazy. This YouTube channel is fun for me. Writing books is fun for me. You cannot be both fashionable and first rate. Yeah, that's a little bit like a modernized version of Schopenhauer. Don't tell your friends their social faults. They will cure the fault and never forgive you. All right, that's it for today. Hope you found it helpful.